T-minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T-minus 50 seconds.
At the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many of you want to eat a W tonight?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Retail taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T-minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now y'all some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it, right
2,
here.
1, 0.
We're back. Welcome back to the Football Card Quest. I'm your host, Andy Kaysen. Joined with me is the eBay Hitman, Steve Caladesi, in the frozen, not quite tundra of Chicago. Steve, how you doing, man?
Chilling, not to be tacky, but definitely chilling. It is pretty damn cold, and we'll get a couple more 50-degree weather days the next few days as a little teaser, but safe to say winter's here, and winter's here for a lot of the guys that are playing in cold cities this week in the NFL, namely the Bears. Green Bay are playing us here. So if you're one of those teams, make note, it does change the way the game is played.
So it feels already like Thanksgiving was a year ago. I mean, it just feels like it was a long time ago. I mean, I threw out the leftover turkey last weekend. Like, I was tired of eating that by Saturday. And we haven't had a chance to catch up since last Wednesday we were on here, man. So how was your Thanksgiving? How was your week 12? No Justin Fields. The Bears got obliterated by the Jets, and the Bucs lost in overtime to the Browns. And overall, how was your week 12? Was there any major takeaways for you?
Yeah, I think Mike White still showed that he's still going to be that 3 touchdown or 3 interception guy. In fact, I believe that so much that I had 3 winning FanDuel sheets that had him on it with other Jets wide receivers. So if you look at the top sheets actually for last week, he was on them. So you could have got him for dirt cheap in free agent bucks and paired him up with a couple of receivers that cost you next to nothing and capitalized on that. So, I mean, that ended up being a great play. I don't think he's going to necessarily make that like a regular thing every week. I mean, the Bears defense is injury riddled, depleted from trades, but I'm not taking anything away from the guy. He did what he did, and but it was nice. I think I'm like 4 weeks in a row now with at least some FanDuel sheet profits. So,
you know who else was on that sheet, Steve? Your boy. That gotta give it to you, man. Gotta give it to you, man. You and I make a great 1-2 punch combo. When I'm not on, you seem to hit these guys, right. They hit the nail on the head with these picks, and you've been beating the drum for Josh Jacobs since before the season. I know you got a lot of exposure to him. He broke the slate this past week with over 50 PPR fantasy points, and even with the Raiders virtually out, if you look at the power rankings, the Raiders are now only a 6% chance to make the playoffs. This is a tiny chance. They've still got a chance there at 17. But Josh Jacobs, just based on the way he's been playing, people are pumping this guy up like you would not believe. And we know he has late first round draft capital from Alabama. He's still fairly young. And you've been beating the drum for this guy since before the season. And, yeah, I mean, he put up over 50 fantasy points this past week.
I think that Vegas is going to be kicking themselves in the keister on this one for declining that option. I mean, if their objective was to piss him off and light a fire under him, I mean, it definitely worked. But they won't be probably bringing him back. And if they do, it won't be cheap. He's the lead rusher in the NFL by quite a bit and with quite a few less carries than the next guy up, Derrick Henry. So pretty exciting, man. I'd be exciting even to now speculate where he could end up next season. I think that would be something to look at, something to think about. Maybe Tampa, Andy. What do you think about that?
We don't need him. We're good. We're good. We don't need to overpay. We don't need to give a bag to any more running back. We like to keep the running backs hungry down here for multiple reasons, it turns out. So, all right. So Steve, tonight I want to go through a really juicy injury report because we're heading into week 13 here. And in week 13, I've literally gone through every matchup this week, and there's like 7, maybe even 8 that I've written down that are incredibly juicy, that have playoff implications, that have massive DFS implications, that are going to create massive ripple effects in the card market. And I'm already, like, from a macro perspective, I'm still seeing these soft spots like during the week in the market. But on the weekend, when the games are going down, the performances are unfolding, it is quite dramatic. And I'm seeing quite the volume spikes in purchases on eBay. So the market's doing good. From my perspective, Steve, football cards are now more popular and are getting more demand than basketball, baseball, and probably some other alternative sports as well. What do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, I watch a good amount of card content on YouTube, and a lot of these guys go into like the the Texas card shows and all over the U.S. realistically, and it seems like the most sought after on a regular basis are football cards. And that's to be saying a lot because, we're getting in that last leg of the regular season here where you have NBA just kicked off, so it's interesting. And we talked a bit about print runs before, and a lot of people scared of current print runs. And I get it, like compared to 2017, 2018, they are up a lot. In retrospect, they're still not that high compared to NBA, compared to MLB. So they're still in a really good spot. Let's hope that they don't go too crazy. And, I think it's right about good where it needs to be, maybe even down a little bit slightly. But I agree, Andy. I think that the football hobby is the way to go. I think a lot of people are jumping over to the dark side, if you will, because it used to be football was kind of towards the bottom of the totem pole. And let's not forget that the NFL could sometime soon be not just in the United States. Goodell's talked about getting teams in Europe. He's talked about getting teams in Canada, getting teams in Mexico or South America. Being a worldwide sport could only do even that much more things for the hobby.
I look at it like this, Steve. Which other fantasy sport is as diehard as football? I mean, there is no other fantasy sport that is incredibly obsessive, like just addicted, just diehard, entrenched in the actual fantasy sport, tied to the actual sport. Football's the biggest one, and I think that has a lot to do with why football has got maybe a higher demand now than basketball and baseball cards, just like from a macro perspective, because of the more intense, because of how intense it is, because of close ties to fantasy football, because of how the fewer amount of games in the NFL and how dramatic it is with the whole team dynamic, the injuries, the playoffs. It's like, man, you do not get a whole lot of chances in the NFL, so you really have to make those count. And the drama can build up quite quickly, and these storylines are incredible. And this week is no exception. I'm looking at the slate for week 13. I want to get into it tonight, Steve. It is absolutely incredible. Some crazy storylines that we've got to follow, and everything that we look up here, guys, you know the drill. We're going to be digging into eBay. We're going to be trying to get into some live auctions, some live buy it nows, maybe looking at the sold data. We got to dig everything up that we can, see if we can find some variance or see if we can buy low into a sleeper and plan out the next 60, 180, 8-month time period and see what we can capitalize on for not only our collection, but also to have some fun in terms of finding buy lows that we can sell high.
What's interesting, Andy? I didn't really think of this in terms of the words I wanted to say about the hobby and football and comparing it to other sports. But think about this: what do we correlate a lot with? eBay listings, sports cards, etc., right? Along with player performance. Well, in the NFL, you have one game a week. Okay. So if your guy goes on a tear on Sunday, like Jacobs did, and you want to list some cards, you list them, maybe that same evening, have them end in 5 days or whatever the case is. And boom, you're going to have some good traction because you have 5 days. He hasn't played another game yet. He's still a 3-touchdown guy, whatever the case is, right? Baseball, basketball, they play so many games during the week. I mean, if a guy goes off for 60 points and then goes 1 for 10 2 nights in a row, well, by the time your 5-day listing comes to an end, people might have already forgot about that guy. So I think that there's definitely a better correlation with eBay auction listings and the NFL than other sports.
Yeah, I can't imagine how insanely difficult it is to keep up with not only the sport on a daily basis in baseball and basketball, with just the sheer volume of games that they play, but the fantasy sports, and then also trying to time your auctions and your listings to optimize to just get the optimal ending result, from whatever card it is of the specific player. And football has just got that sweet spot, man. It's got that sweet spot that makes it so dramatic. So I'd say we dig into this, man, because we got a lot to unpack here.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm just as excited as I was early in the season. I know my Bears are pretty much out of it, but there's just so many good storylines unfolding here that we got to talk about them.
I'm seeing some questions in the chat from Sonny, from Tanner. I got your questions started up, guys. Derek, what's good, man? Brad Moore in the house out of Buffalo. I know he's got to be freezing right now, trying to stay warm. If it's cold in Chicago, I know it's cold in Buffalo. They had to relocate the game a week and a half ago, man. It's nuts. DDG Texas with the Metal Gear Solid avatar, loving it. Shane, welcome, man. Welcome to the quest. Derek knows the Miami are winning the chip. We all know this. Matt Murray, what's good, man? Sonny DeCruz got a question. We're definitely getting to some Mahomes and Jalen Hurts topics here in a few minutes. Dolphins, oh yeah, baby. Dolphins got a big matchup this week. Big matchup.
We got some new fans in the chat, Andy. We got 2 bots going at once.
New fans in the chat. I know it's hard to keep the ladies away from the football card quest. We try, but I can't blame them. I can't blame them, Steve. I can't blame them, because what we got going on here is super spicy. So first and foremost, let's dig into the injury report, and then we'll get into the slate upcoming, and then we'll look at our top targets in both buy and sell, and then we'll answer some questions. So right off the bat, Travis Etienne on the thumbnail there, but we want to look at Justin Fields because they got the mega matchup this weekend. It's a classic with them in Green Bay. Steve, you know it. I mean, you've been watching these games since you were a kid. They play twice a year. This is a total classic game. Justin Fields said today, this is today at 3:30 p.m. Justin Fields on trying to get ready to play Sunday versus Green Bay. He said, I feel better than last week, so we'll see how I feel this week and after today's practice. He's practicing on a limited basis. That seems pretty good. There was reports last week, you and I talked that mixed reports that he may be done for the season, but this looks like that he may be back this upcoming week in week 13 against Green Bay. Me likey for Fields to have a big bounce back game and ball out, get back to balling out again.
I think it's going to come down to if they deem he can not make it any worse by playing through it. So a lot of it's going to come down to that. If it's something that just needs time to heal without taking some massive hits, I don't see them rushing him back out there.
Yeah, and Fields is one of those guys that I am looking at not for the playoff flip, right? I mean, they're not getting into the playoffs, Steve. I think you would agree with that, but I'm looking at Fields as a guy that's going to have some pretty serious hype coming into September of next year. I would say maybe draft time period next of this upcoming April. If they build in the trenches, maybe guys draft an offensive lineman early. That would be a nice little boost. Maybe find a way in free agency to bring in some more wide receiver talent. But ultimately, I'm looking at Fields as next August, heading into September, as picking up some nice hype. So I'm not opposed to having a base Donruss for $30. It doesn't seem too bad to me. If it's in a PSA 10 grade, that's definitely a key factor there. But I'm having a feeling, I was kind of hoping that maybe this injury would hold him out a couple weeks, and maybe I could get into like a rookie ticket auto or an optic auto or something that's color matched that has a serial number, a little bit more scarce, or maybe even a field level silver. Yeah, because those are hobby only. They got a short print element to them. I love the design here. I wouldn't mind grabbing one of those.
I can't remember. We talked about it one week. Is that are those considered a case hit or no?
They're not considered a case hit, but they are considered a short print and in the hobby boxes only. So I've got to think that the print run on those is going to be somewhere in the like 200 to 300 range, maybe a little bit lower. Definitely a lot more rare than they were in 2020. Ooh. Some people may get confused on that. That could be some interesting market variance that you could target, because I still think it's not like Prism Optic popular, but it is definitely popular, right? It's definitely a liquid card.
How about that flawless patch? Ooh-wee.
Yeah, flawless patch there. You got a bunch of stripes and stuff. Man, I really wish that they would give us better writing on the back. Like, okay, this one says enclosed authentic memorabilia is not from any specific game or event, but I wish they used to at least say player worn, you know. But still really cool looking patch. And you still have the gold rookie card shield and super low serial number here. And I like the brand recognition of Flawless is super premium. You know, it's one of the top brands in the hobby next to National Treasures and Immaculate. So you got a lot of stuff going for that card. And I just like, without the autograph on it and without it being game worn, I can't really personally justify spending $250 on that card unless it was for my personal collection, going on the wall kind of thing. From an investment, Steve, I feel like that may be, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of juice left to squeeze out of this one from an investment standpoint.
I mean, I think if he didn't get hurt, you might be seeing that end maybe twice around where it is right now. So he's in a little bit of a lull right now. I mean, it's low serial number, it's flawless, like you saw what the field stuff was going for last week, and we could just be scratching the surface if he continues to play at that level without any long injuries going forward. So
yeah, he was hitting that third game trifecta of that massive rushing floor and production. The other critical news here, Steve, is you guys have lost Darnell Mooney for the rest of the season to a broken ankle. I think that's important to consider in terms of his passing game, but we know the rushing floor is going to be there, the rushing upside. I'm pretty much looking to stack Fields with Cole Kmet, maybe some Chase Claypool, but primarily Justin Fields and Cole Kmet from here on out. And primarily just Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's funny because after Kmet's prices were pretty high up, like the first year and a half in the league, and then the man hadn't scored a touchdown until this year, and then he scored like several in a couple games. So what was it, like 6 in 3 games or something like that, 5 in 3 games? But I think that's going to be like a long time connection. I'm not saying he's the next Kelsey, but like the Mahomes-Kelsey relationship, that kind of thing.
One of the other biggest storylines this week is Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers, exited that game early. We talked about yesterday with Carter, the Jordan Love hype that has been building. It's such an interesting storyline because Jordan Love had a lot of hype coming into the league. And then before the 2021 season, when people thought Rodgers was going to retire, become a Jeopardy game show host instead of coming back to play football, Jordan Love had quite a bit of hype, and now Rodgers, according to head coach Matt LaFleur today. This is a tweet from Adam Schefter earlier today at 1:22 p.m. He does not expect Aaron Rodgers to play Sunday versus the Bears. So, with a rib and thumb injury, and the other interesting thing is Jordan Love did everything right with the Green Bay Packers in his time, and his thought process was, I just want to help this team get to a win. He seems like he's got that competitive mentality. He's been waiting in the wings, and like he is ready to go. So I've got to think that Jordan Love, if he goes into this game against the Bears, who have a very soft defense, right, Steve? I mean, your defense, now that you guys have lost Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith, I mean, in terms of DVO,
Eddie Jackson was the top vote getter at free safety, and he's on IR now. So
he's on IR. You guys ranked 25th in run defense DVOA, 30th in pass defense, 26th in yards allowed per pass, 25th in yards allowed per carry. So it's pretty much like an open season, wheels up for Jordan Love. I mean, he's got a super cushy matchup. Now, granted, this is, a deep-seated divisional rivalry, and I've just got to think, though, if Justin Fields plays and he's able to push the ball on his side and score points, Jordan Love should have no problem putting up points on his side, which could lead to some fireworks, which could lead to quite a bit of Jordan Love hype if he comes out of this game looking like a total baller, because he really is still more or less considered a rookie because of how limited we've seen from him. It's almost like that Trey Lance phenomenon where you just have such small sample size, but the sample size we've seen are very polarizing. Like one time we see him look incredible, the small sample size we saw him not look so good. But overall, he's got like some really interesting athletic talent. He's got a very interesting college resume, and we saw this hype for him before. So there's no reason that I think that Jordan Love couldn't come out of this week against the Bears just absolutely hyped up.
I do have one question. The headline you read on Twitter was worded differently than what you said out loud, because you said does not, but I read he does expect.
Oh, snapped. I didn't read that. I read that wrong. Wow, that was this is why I'm glad you're here, Steve. I'm glad you're here, man, because I totally read that wrong. I don't know why. Maybe that's a mental Freudian thing. I was trying to put not in there.
It definitely isn't worded as good as it could be, because he could have just said expects Rodgers to play, right? Not he does expect. That's kind of odd.
So head coach, wow, thank you, Steve. Matt LaFleur does expect Aaron Rodgers to play Sunday versus the Bears. However, no practice today, nursing rib and thumb injuries. And you mentioned to me something before the show, Steve, about Aaron Rodgers playing the Bears. And with your weak defense right now, I feel like you're right. He wouldn't miss this game unless he absolutely had to. No,
he's going to take any legal stimulants he can before this game. Hit his head off a locker a few times, and statistically, I think he might have his best game of the season. Honestly, he more than looks forward to playing the Bears. I mean, he has a statement he made in the past couple of years, and gets they chant, throw things at him, boo him, and then he said to someone in the stands, "I still effing own you," and keeps beating us in Chicago. It just happened. So I think it's going to unfortunately happen again. Now, if we get our guy back, Fields, maybe not, but Fields doesn't play.
Yeah, I think that's critical component. So something to keep your eye on. Nevertheless, I mean, Aaron Rodgers. So Jordan Love is in his third year next year because he's not a. Wait, did they drafted Jordan Love at the end of the first round or in the second round in 2020?
Let's
see real quick. End of the first round. So they will have the option to extend him for the fifth year. They will have the fifth year option on him. So it's interesting. He could be stuck in Green Bay through 5 years to almost as an insurance policy if anything happens to Rodgers in terms of retirement or, like career-ending injury kind of thing. But so that's something interesting. He could be stuck a backup for quite a while. So it does make him quite a speculative buy right now, which I'm kind of like, if you're looking for a 60-day flip, Jordan Love, probably not your guy after kind of thinking this out loud here. I would actually say, hey, if you got him, why not capitalize on this uncertainty and this hype and sell them right now? If you bought them last summer, you bought them earlier this season, like now, just by looking at his market, I mean, his prices kind of across the board have gone up a considerable amount. I mean, 40% on the Mosaic, 20% on the Optic Hollow. So you've got profit there and you've got hype. You've got a market for him you can capitalize on. Otherwise, a hold, maybe try and find some variance. Maybe wait until after this week.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. Wait till after this week if you want to buy.
If he didn't have a great showing last week, I would say just definitely move him. But if you feel like rolling the dice a little bit, let's not forget that the guy that he came in to replace didn't start until his fourth season in the league. Fourth season. Played 3 seasons as a backup behind Favre. So
Discord alert from Andrew Perry. Tyrann Mathieu 1 of 1 PSA 10 is about to end. Ring the alarm for Carter. Carter's not very happy with Tyrann Mathieu, even though that is his super PC guy. He's not happy with him. He's not playing good. He tipped the ball up for the game-winning touchdown to seal the deal there for San Fran last weekend. Orlando, what's good, man? My thoughts on Baker Mayfield. I'm going to star that up. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. Real quick thought, though, is stay away, stay away, stay away, stay away. Jimmy Garoppolo with the knee injury took a shot to a surgically repaired knee that was flagged and wasn't a great-looking play optically, and head coach Kyle Shanahan acknowledged it almost knocked Garoppolo out of the game, but he didn't get knocked out of the game, so let's see if he practices. That's not too serious. We did get a massive scare from Travis Etienne. Skip over Matt Stafford. He could be done for the season. Apparently, he's like going through evaluations of a neck injury, and Matt Stafford could be potentially done for the season. They're on their 3rd string quarterback now. Steve, you mentioned Bryce Perkins before the show, and you mentioned that they're now Allen Robinson's on IR. Cooper Kupp, I believe, is either on IR or he's out for some time. We're going to get to his injury status as well, but I think he's missing a few weeks. So they're down to Van Jefferson as their wide receiver 1. We all loved Van Jefferson from last year, and I think he's a great player you can kind of hang your hat on right there.
Especially if you're getting towards the end of the season in any of your leagues, if you're in a deeper league where the free agency game is essentially non-existent. There may be a guy on your free agent waiver wire right now that is a wide receiver 1. And despite the lack of volume, he's had 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks. So,
yeah, no, he's a great separator. He's got great speed and hands. And he's a guy that you could look at as a long-term card investment, short-term fantasy play. Definitely relevant this week in both DFS and your season-long fantasy leagues, as I know you're probably approaching the fantasy playoffs right now. There you go, Derek. And Travis Etienne gave us a big scare. I've got a lot of Travis Etienne exposure. He's definitely taken a bell cow role. We had the best week of Trevor Lawrence's career this past week and a big win over the Baltimore Ravens. Almost a 90% completion percentage. Zay Jones went off. He's the new target leader in Jacksonville, Steve. So you got a big connection there. Actually sold a really nice Zay Jones card earlier this week that I was excited about. So happy that those super cheap Zay Jones optic autos I was buying earlier in the season, at the beginning of the season, are paying off now, even on a team that is at the bottom of the power rankings here. If you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, 28th with just a 7% chance of making the playoffs. Travis Etienne, said Doug Peterson said they feel really good about ETN's status heading into week 13. ETN even said himself that he'll be back in week 13, but they don't want to rush. Whoops, I clicked on that again. But they don't want to rush him in before they're sure he's 100%. I mean, there's no real reason to rush him back super fast. So
definitely make sure you guys have a backup plan on deck if he's your starting running back in fantasy. They mentioned JaMychal Hasty, but I don't know if you know this, but they signed Darrell Henderson. As far as I know, he's actually the backup.
What's good? Basic wholesale cards. Love the question. I definitely have some opinions on that one. We'll get to here in a few minutes. But of course, guys, reminder, the super chat is open. If you wanted us to drop what we're doing right now, force our hand into answering any questions as they come in, then that is open, and YouTube forces us. It forces us, man. There's nothing you could do. We gotta post up your comment on the screen and address it whenever you super chat. So
feel
that
free
is
to be,
always
free to
open.
Be creative, of course.
Christian McCaffrey with a little knee issue, not practicing on Wednesday, but they hope to have him available. Nothing serious. They are facing the Dolphins this weekend. Joe Mixon, concussion protocol still. He's returning to practice on Wednesday in his last stage of concussion protocol. The Bengals are starting to peak at that right time, man. T. Higgins has stepped up like the monster wide receiver that he is in Jamar Chase's stead. They are playing the Kansas City freaking Chiefs this week, Steve. And what is the biggest matchup on paper all week? Kansas City Chiefs going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. 52.5 over under, Steve. Biggest matchup of the week, man. Who do you got in this matchup? Chiefs are the number 1 power ranked team in the NFL right now. But the Bengals aren't too far behind them. According to PFF, the Bengals are at 6. The Bengals are at 6 in the NFL.
Well, I called it last time. I'm not going to say any official scores, but I'm taking Cincy. If you remember on this stream, Andy, I said Bengals by 3. They were massive underdogs. They went to overtime and won by a field goal. So I'm feeling it, man. I've been calling it. Bengals, momentum. It's that time of year. If they get Chase back, it's going to be that much more flavorful come Sunday.
Guess what? Jamar Chase is on track to come back this weekend, Steve. Right here today, November 28, 10:52 a.m. That's not today. Source says the plan is for star wide receiver Jamar Chase to return this week. He was close last week and is expected to go this week against the Chiefs. They need him, man. This is perfect timing for Jamar Chase to come back. I'm looking at the Jamar Chase auctions ending right now. I would love to get myself a Jamar Chase card. I want to get something that's got a little juice to it, Steve. I don't want to base Phoenix. I mean, it's okay, I guess. PSA 10, $40, but
go for like a serial numbered optic. Look at that. Even
serial numbered
right
optic.
There, that Andy, that optic preview. That's the one you want right there.
Optic preview, pink, not
That's
a bad
got
picture.
Some heat on it with a 10 too.
We got the 10. I'm placing a bid on this one, Steve. That looks good. That would look good on the wall, wouldn't it?
That would. But if it doesn't work out, I mean, even an ungraded, like an optic with a serial number, you're talking about like a guy that's got like Justin Jefferson type potential this early in his career. And look at what the Jeffersons go for. I mean, pretty sure they're 100 or above easily.
Yeah, that's a great I have to do the way it's spelled in here, Jamar.
Is there an apostrophe?
Oh, yeah, the way it's spelled in here, just like that.
Okay.
That's a really interesting comparison because I think you kind of got to go 2020, 2021 because the print runs really exploded in 2020. So if you're looking to kind of get a comparable population, You do have to compare 2020 to 2021. I think that is important. Just looking at the most popular, like the most widely sold cards, like his base Donruss PSA 10, for example, has a population of 1,430. That's Jamar Chase, and that's 2021. If we look at Justin Jefferson, 1,175. Very, very similar in their base Donruss population. Justin Jefferson, a current trend of $62, average of 56, whereas the Jamar Chase, an average of 42. So you can see the potential, and you can definitely like go back and trace this back to early March. Obviously when that card had a very low pop and it was still a new product. You got to keep in mind that Prism, Optic, and Select weren't released until summer, like almost right before the season started. So that adds in an interesting dynamic of like grading population continuing to grow for some of this 2021 product. But that definitely plays a role in kind of the prices going cooling off.
Oh wait, is that a press proof premium? That one in the center there, or is that an Optic? That looks like a press proof, right?
This bad boy right here?
Yeah, press proof premium.
Press proof
premium. Nice.
Yeah.
I would still try to get like a serial numbered Optic. I mean, even a serial numbered Mosaic. But I mean, if you're going for like rolling the nuts, you can definitely go with the Optic serial numbered.
Yeah, and there's a lot of complaints, like even talking to Carter, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this in the chat in terms of the photo selection. And not a whole lot of fans of his Prism photo. The photo of him,
the Jefferson above it, and then look at the Chase.
Yeah,
the pictures just it doesn't do anything. It looks
like his absolute photo is pretty cool. Cutout. The Optic photo is pretty cool. The field level photo, I like the Mosaic photos from Chase, but however, Mosaic is like one of those little bit lesser desirable sets. It's not at the Prism or Optic level. It's really around the same level as a Select, and with Select having those tiers, you could fit Mosaic in around the base tier of Select, type of level. And I think that sounds about right to me.
Hey, there's your Optic preview right there at the bottom.
Here we go. Optic preview. Oh, yeah. See, I'm loving this. I got a $70 buy it now, Tuesday, November 15th on this PSA 10. And if I go over here, SGC 10, I see that there was an auction Thursday, November 17th that ended for 41. So it's possible. Yeah. Yeah. Only a population of 32 on the 10s on this, 45 on the 9s. So slightly lower than a 50% gem rate as well. So that places more value on the 10 on that card. So maybe we get lucky on that one.
I think that those get like heavily slept on for no reason. I mean, I think a lot of it is just people don't know the difference.
Yeah, that's a great way to hunt the market variance. A lot of people don't know the difference. So let's go back to it, and I'll see if I can pull up the back of the card to show you guys. Yeah, that P at the top, obviously there's a photo variation, but it's not easy to tell just by looking at the front and you're like, oh, it's a different photo. What does that mean? Well, if you look at the back and it says P-262, now you know that's the preview. That means it's a short print insert within the main Donruss set that was released earlier in the year for that draft class. And that makes the card a lot more rare. The population on that card is a lot more rare. A lot lower.
The way to tell is it's uses the Donruss photo, and the Optic has its own unique photo.
Ooh, check out this bad boy. Red Stars, rated rookie T-Mall. I don't know the print run of this card. Don't think it has a serial number, but I know that these designs like this are definitely short print, Steve, and that looks really
pops.
good. That looks cool.
That pops.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's coming back this week. I think you have an interesting opportunity right now to target some Jamar Chase variants. We talked about the Darnell Mooney broken ankle, the Allen Robinson foot, the Jacoby Myers. So Thursday night football, ladies and gentlemen, Thursday night football is the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots, man. Divisional matchup, AFC East showdown. You got to love the Bills and the Patriots in the winter. I'm not sure if this game is going to be snowing, but I know it's going to be cold as balls. And, Mac Jones is coming off a performance where he threw for over 350 yards against the Minnesota Vikings. and
if you watch
defense,
that game, Andy, I've never seen such weak zone defense in my entire life. That was really bad. I mean, they just literally sat in one spot, and they're like, let's give them 6.5 yards per play and just let him march down the field and see if he makes a mistake. I mean, that's the wrong team to try to implement that strategy against.
Yeah. So what is interesting, because, Bills get the win. They get the win over the Lions, which the Lions hung in there and fought pretty hard in that game. And the Patriots have the number 1 passing defense, but they're 20th in yards allowed per pass. So this could be another interesting Isaiah McKenzie game. It could be a Gabe Davis game for all we know, where, Josh Allen likes to spread the ball around. Favorite target, obviously, Stephon Diggs. But I just think this is such an incredible matchup because the Patriots are kind of in that mode where they've got to win to get into the playoffs. They're currently 12th of the power rankings with a 35% chance of making the playoffs. So they really have to win some games, and especially against a division rival like the Buffalo Bills, to have any shot of the playoffs. So they're in must-win territory. They're going to come out. Mac Jones is definitely going to be trying to throw the ball because the Bills' run defense is 4th in the league. Their passing defense is 7th. They just got to get the ball. They've got to get first downs. They've got to get score points because the Bills are going to score points. But Josh Allen had some mistakes before last week. Ever since the elbow injury against the Jets, he's making some mistakes in the red zone, throwing some picks, making some bad decisions and inaccurate throws. So this is another mega matchup here from the AFC East because you have the Dolphins chomping on those heels, man. Dolphins are right there at the heels of the Buffalo Bills, and so are the Jets. I mean, this division is crazy, and that's why the Patriots are scrapping just to gotta maintain a good record at this point to have any hope. They gotta win out, man. So another mega matchup here between the Bills and the Patriots Thursday night.
I think the Bills edge it out. They haven't been playing great. They've been playing good. I just don't see the Patriots topping them. I think it'll be close. Patriots are playing way better than they have all year, but I think the Bills edge it out. Not by much, maybe a couple points.
Yeah, I think they do too. I think they're starting to get back into form. You had a little dip there on Josh Allen. See the 8% increase here, and his field level silver up to $2,100 on the PSA 10, pop of $175. Nice little increase there from November 26th, Saturday at midnight to Monday at midnight. Almost, different card, everything you can see there. So yeah, just very interesting. I still have the compare pulled up with the Kansas City with Mahomes versus Allen in terms of their optic because they have similar pops. Similar, not really actually.
Almost lockstep. Except for recently.
Except for recently. They were lockstep back in October until Mahomes became the clear front runner for MVP. It just continued to just blow people's minds with the way he plays. And Josh Allen had the elbow injury, the little dip in the saga, the fallout, the loss to the Jets, and they kind of fell from grace a little bit, but they're right there, man. 405 to now 850 though, but they absolutely were, including that $1,300 confirmed transaction back on October 8th, which was pretty wild. And I don't know that there's going to be much Josh Allen variance to find this week or Patrick Mahomes variance to find this week. It's going to be really hard, and you're going to be probably looking at base cards, and unless you're just willing to spend thousands of dollars, and that's the challenge with buying into those guys. Maybe you can make a cash transaction though with somebody offline and get a deal that way. But yeah, so that's that mega matchup. I think that pretty much rounds up the injury report that I wanted to look at. Kadarius Toney with the hamstring. Anytime you see Kadarius Toney not practicing is not a good sign. He missed so much time through 2 seasons that this is trending towards another do not practice in week 13. If he can get back on the practice field Thursday or Friday, Toney has a chance to play. Andy Reid not too optimistic about Toney. There's Cup and the ankle. Communicated that it sounds like a high ankle sprain for Aaron Donald. Oh, dear God, that's terrible, man. Cooper Kupp is shut down for the remainder of the season. So Cooper Kupp's out for the season. Now you've got a high ankle sprain for Aaron Donald. High ankle sprains are terrible. This is not good for the Rams. They're done, dude. Their season's done.
I think that's going to be a gimme for Seattle at this point.
Yeah. Well, yeah, San Fran. I can't rule San Fran. Fran
I just
is
meant for Sunday, just for Sunday.
Oh, just for Sunday. Oh, yeah. Very good point. Just for Sunday. Definitely agree there. The Dolphins are going to the 49ers to play San Francisco Sunday, 46.5 over under. This is another mega matchup here, Steve. Derek says Tua and the Dolphins are going to win the chip this year.
I like it.
And you like it?
I do. I think I was telling you last week. I have 2 slips in which involve the Super Bowl winner. One being the Dolphins, one being the Bengals.
Both of those 2020 guys. So if you're holding 2020 sealed wax, then you are a serious winner. Like, add them all up, man.
There's just so many desirable players in that set, man. I look back to, right around the time I found this channel, right around the time I got back into collecting, and I bought some 2020 Optic and some other sealed wax, and I was like, man, looking back now, if I had that sealed still, I can only imagine.
And I love this matchup, dude. I love this matchup. The Miami Dolphins going to San Fran because San Fran has one of the best defenses, man. They're third in run defense DVOA, while the Dolphins are 15th in their running offense, but the Dolphins are first in passing offense, first in passing yards per pass, and the 49ers passing defense is 9th with being 4th in yards allowed per pass. So great matchup to really see what Tua is made of here.
Genesis.
There's your Genesis, baby. And it's rookie.
That one might have ended already. Oh no, it ends in a minute.
Ends in a minute. Let's pop into it. Minute 24.
So for those of you that don't know, there's 2 variations in Mosaic, and for the rookies, there's the NFL debut, and then there's just the rookie card logo variation. For whatever reason, the NFL debut variation usually goes for a little bit less. Let's speculate. I have no spreadsheets open, no 130 point open. Where do you think this thing ends up? I'll say 190.
190? So it's like the Price is Right, where you can go up to it, but you just can't go over. If you go
we'll just
over,
see who gets the closest.
Closest. So I could edge you out. I could be like 191.
I think a couple weeks ago before the bye that it probably would have been in the mid 200s, but
well, it shot up to 162.50. So there's some competition on this card. I think this is going to end at 208.
Okay.
208. And then
20-second countdown. Throw your guesses in the chat if you guys have a little input. Let's see where this thing goes.
Honestly, think this is a pretty good deal. I think it would go a lot higher if it wasn't the debut. The debut seems to be kind of like a redheaded stepchild to the main one. 182, 202. Oh, I got so close. 202. So I went over, though. So you win.
All good. Yeah, we were both close. That's within the realm. It definitely was way higher than the 150 it was at.
But see, I love this black prism silver. I feel like
That looks nice
Yeah.
and centered too, honestly.
And I think it's just because this card came out much later than the regular Prism, and it's another one of those scenarios where it's like it came out from as an insert as another set as from Chronicles, which is like considered the gumbo set. They just throw a bunch of different cards in there, and then
Nah, it's a beautiful card, man.
I love him, dude. I love the Jalen Hurts because he's in the dark green
dude, look
uniform.
At the
Yeah, man.
Maybe
I love the
to bottom
action
is slightly
pose here
off,
from
but
Tua.
the left to right looks really good.
I think this card looks great in terms of centering.
Had a pretty rough
and
time
you have the Prism finish on here. I think this is a good variance right here. I would actually think that this looks like a grader, dude. Like this looks like one that you would get graded.
Those Burrows during the playoffs last year went for $2 to $250.
What does this one shoot up to, Steve? I lost out on the Jamar Chase.
I would think on average they're going for probably
34.
At least $60 right now, maybe higher.
I hope one of you guys got the Jamar Chase. Let us know in the chat if you got the Jamar Chase for 34. We're gonna put in a bid. We didn't get the other one. I don't know. You think? It's shooting up. It's 32. You think we get this one for like 34?
If you can get it under 40, it's a win. Yeah, for sure.
Let's see what it goes up to. 3 seconds left. 35.
Did you get it?
Somebody got it at 35.
Oh. We should, since we were brainstorming it, we should 130 point it and see. Oh, that's a PSA 10, Andy, that field level.
Yeah, that's a field level. It is the base field level, but it's in the 10 grade. I don't have enough time to do a search on that to see what the recent comps are.
I'd say it's worth at least 50 because the Donruss is worth $30 or $40.
You feel like you could just feel like, that thing's shooting up, man. That thing is shooting up quick.
Yeah, no, I thought it would end around 50, honestly. So that's still a good buy.
He's just such a good playoff flip with how good the offense is playing. What happened?
Derek super chat.
28 watching, 8 likes. Let's go, people. Smash the tip of your howitzer on the like button. Do it. We're talking to you right there. Right there.
We're not going on a regular night this week, but for everyone that's in here, man, we really appreciate you and the support. Definitely smash the like button. We do appreciate it. Helps the algorithm, helps us continue to grow on here.
Yes, it sure does. Noah, I starred up your question. Yeah, I've got a video I made on that, but I can share with you some quick, easy tips. Dan Bellinger, is he going to get back in? So, all right, another major matchup. Dan Bellinger, rookie tight end for the New York Giants. He was emerging as one of the more favorite targets, wearing a helmet adorned with his new visor. Yeah, he literally got his eye socket fractured so bad that he had to have reconstructive surgery. I mean, crazy freak eye injury. Glad he's getting closer. He had no rookie cards available, but check this out, man. The Giants are where they at? They're the Commanders. The Commanders, baby, led by Taylor freaking Heineke, are going to play the Giants this weekend in a crazy NFC East battle that actually has some serious playoff implications because the NFC South is a dumpster fire. The NFC West is pretty well consolidated with San Fran and Seattle, and then the NFC North is owned by the Vikings, and the Commanders have a better record than like 75% of the NFC, but yet they're third place in their division, like basically tied with the Giants, and they're fighting over last place in the division, which has like clear playoff implications. I love this matchup this weekend. Commanders at Giants. Let's see what Brian Daboll and this Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley offense can do at home against an elite Commanders run defense. And that's a big part of their offense because who the hell they got to throw the ball to? I saw somebody in our fantasy league picking up Kenny Golladay, the mannequin. That guy is dust. That guy ain't separating from nobody, you know.
The Commanders are definitely interesting. I mean, that they're kind of like Chicago Bears-esque in that they win with like this upbeat, tough to take down quarterback, but just by playing really good defense. And they just got Chase Young back, who, if you recall, was the 2020 Rookie of the Year defensive end. I think that they probably lose this game, but I think that their prospects of making the playoffs are still good.
It's solid, man. Look at the power rankings here for Washington. They're 16th, led by Taylor Heineke, who is their new QB1. Like, what's his face is healthy. They Ron Rivera, he wants to win, man. He wants to get in. They've got a 70% chance of making the playoffs. So this is actually a team that has playoff implications. I like Antonio Gibson this week. I like Terry McLaurin every week, although I think Terry McLaurin is constantly, like, his cards are pretty expensive. Like, people look at Terry McLaurin as having a pretty high ceiling. Like, they put him up there with some pretty elite guys from 2019, like A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. And even though he's not the same physical stature and athlete as those guys, he does have a very good ability to separate and squeeze the football at the point of contested catches. And the guy is an incredible route runner as well. So, I mean, he's got a lot of hype. There's not a lot to love a lot of times coming out of the Commanders, but Taylor Heineke getting the job done. And you alluded to it, man. They're second in run defense DVOA, 9th in yards allowed per carry, and their passing defense is 16th. So they kind of set up, if anything, the Giants got to pass on them. The problem is the Giants got nobody to pass to. They're 25th in yards per pass, and they're down a lot of guys, and they're running out of options. They're just decimated with injuries, and looks like Odell Beckham is going to go to the Cowboys, potentially working on a multi-year deal. That could happen as soon as next week, so keep your radars open for Odell. Who do you got in this game, Commanders or Giants? They're playing in New York at the Giants.
Going with the Giants on this one. They haven't lit the world on fire, but they've done just enough to win the games they need to win. Commanders are on the road. I'm not saying they won't have a good game, but they'll have better games ahead of them. Giants, I think, are just going to be too tough of a matchup for them. And like I said, I'm a Heineke supporter. I think he'll find a way to squeak in somehow. And but Daboll's just too smart of a coach. I think they just edged this one out.
Yeah, he's a very good coach. I've been very impressed. What's interesting is Daniel Jones' market has fallen back down. I think it was very much tied to the fact that they were winning. They were very much on this playoff trajectory. They're at lower odds to make the playoffs than the Commanders, but that's what makes this game so huge. If they beat the Commanders in their own division, now all of a sudden the Giants kind of leapfrog them, and they've got like that 70% chance. Like, they're right there. So this is massive, man. This is massive for teams that are fighting for third place in their division. But overall in the NFC, they're both in the hunt for a wild card spot. So, you know, this is must-win territory for both of these guys. So I expect this game to be very competitive and the Giants to pull out all the stops. Daniel Jones market. I think, Steve, I want to ask you, do you think Daniel Jones has showed enough this year to earn an extension with the Giants or possibly a starting job on another team? Like maybe a team like the Carolina Panthers or something pick up Daniel Jones next year, or the Giants extend him? I don't know. It's interesting. Obviously, the Giants have won too many games to get like a top draft pick unless they trade up. They trade a bunch of future capital and other assets to get a top, quarterback selection next year. So they either are going to be drafting like a guy towards the end of the first round or like middle, maybe if a guy slides, or they try and move up, or they extend Daniel Jones.
I think that they might extend him. He's kind of like in year one of what you could call like a reclamation project. And, because he's not at his peak value at the moment, he can be had at a little bit of a bargain yet still. But he's showing that he does anything they ask him to do to win games. So I think that he hangs around for a bit longer.
Yeah, we're seeing his best overall completion percentage for his career this year. If you look at the advanced, let's look at the advanced efficiency metrics, productivity, pressure throws popping. That's not necessarily a good metric. Nothing like production wise is really great. That's why I'm saying everything has been really tied to the wins. 23rd in touchdowns, 20th in passing yards. It's not really popping off in terms of performance. Maybe rushing. Rushing production has been pretty decent. Let's look at his efficiency though. 9 in accuracy, 3rd in true completion. That factors out drop passes and unpressured throwaways. That's pretty solid. Not too great in deep ball or play action, but at the same token, they just have not had look at the receiver target separation. That's terrible, man. It's just terrible. 9th in drop passes. That's not a good statistic to pop in. It's this points to really bad receivers. So I think he's playing okay for the talent that has been around him when he does have a clean pocket, and he's been pretty decent. So there's his rushing. Look at that. Top 10 across the board for rushing statistics.
When you look at how bad his receiving core is, you got to give him a little extra credit, because he's really working with the bottom of the barrel here, and the big one for them is not turning it over. That's going to be a huge one. He's got 4 interceptions. There's probably a lot of guys in the league that did that in a week or two, so that's going to be a big one. Like I said, he's going to play the style of quarterback that the coaches want him to play, and as long as he continues to do that and the team is successful, I'd have a hard time believing they're going to try to start all over with somebody else.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I think there could be an interesting yeah, he really does. I know that just rolls right off the tongue, man. It just seems
you have to be a former first-round pick to be a Panthers quarterback.
And I will laugh just like Kirk Cousins in this profile picture when that happens, because it just seems to fit the bills too perfectly there. And they're probably still going to have Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and PJ Walker on the roster, and they'll add Daniel Jones, and they'll probably pay too much for him. They'll probably trade like a first and a second round pick. Plus, we'll give you a third next year, Giants, to get Daniel Jones. Then he'll go there and
don't be hating on Darnold like that, man.
Hey, did you start DJ Moore this past week in fantasy?
Dude, luckily I had better options, but I was just complaining to a friend of mine in our keeper league about how do I justify starting him or keeping him in the offseason when he's been such a wild roller coaster ride, and then he gets Darnold back and looks like an elite receiver again. So a lot of it's gonna hang on, how the rest of the season goes, and if they will anoint a quarterback, for next year before the off season.
We know Darnold's got a few games in him like this before he turns back into a pumpkin. This happened last year, so Darnold could play good again this weekend. I like DJ Moore for the first few weeks that Darnold's playing. After that, he turns into a pumpkin and falls apart. Or catches mono or something weird, but I'll probably stream DJ Moore again this week. If you guys are playing daily fantasy, there's a nice little play for you coming up this week. Darnold's gonna ball, but only for 2 or 3 weeks, Bob. I'm not betting on him past that. He turns back.
You got to be realistic with Darnold. I'm a Darnold supporter. He's definitely been, like you said, a really boom or bust, but he's been an exact byproduct of what's around him. And if you look at the games he was successful last year when McCaffrey was hurt, he kind of fell apart. And they don't have McCaffrey right now, but they do have someone that's running really well. And as long as they have somewhat of a dynamic approach to their offense, he'll be fine. If they were to go down to like their backup running back and kind of be two-dimensional, well, you're going to see him go back to the Darnold of old. Derrick Tony for life. Did we triple down on the booze?
Wait, oh, it's on a loop. It's on a loop. No. We tripled down on the Kadarius Toney for life.
That's one
Nope,
for
that's
each week he missed for the hamstring injury. So
I think Jonathan Taylor Cards has hacked into Late Stick Sports Cards and Collectibles account. Corey, if that's you, man. Blink once if you're okay. Blink twice if Jonathan Taylor Cards has kidnapped you and holding you hostage for your Kadarius Toney
he's
cards.
incognito after the Toney call out and saying that the Cardinals were Super Bowl bound. So I think, hey man, we still love you.
Oh, Eric Boca Negra just grabbed the Jamar Chase Red Stars optic for under 50. Appreciate y'all for showing that today. First chase in the collection. Not a bad start.
Beauty, man. That thing just looked great.
Oh, we got a twice blink. All right, somebody pause this show, people. We got to call the authorities here.
Wellness check.
Yeah. What's Jonathan Taylor's cards full name? We're gonna have to report this.
He's got access to someone else's YouTube account here.
All right, so mega matchup, Steve. I want to run through what I think may be the other. Okay, so just to recap to where we've gotten through at this point. Dolphins at 49ers, mega matchup. AFC East, NFC West, going to San Fran. Mega matchup, 46.5 over under. Elite Dolphins offense against elite 49ers defense. Chiefs at Bengals. Two elite offenses going at it. Highest point total on the slate, 52.5 over under. Absolutely crazy. Look at that Jamar Chase variance right now. I'm glad you guys are able to capitalize on that out there. And then we talked about the Commanders at the Giants, the NFC East battle that's going down at the Giants. Steve's got the Giants in that game. And then what I think is the next biggest storyline Sunday is the Browns at the Texans. Even though the Texans are clearly, their season is pretty much done. They're the very bottom team in the league, 32nd power rankings. They're out of the playoffs. The Browns are currently 15th with a 4% shot, so a very long shot, so it shouldn't be a whole lot of pressure for Deshaun Watson to make his return in the NFL after all his scandals with masseuses and everything else. He's coming back. This is the week, man, against his former team, Steve. Deshaun Watson not seeing a pop in his market either, but this is such an incredible storyline. I wonder if he goes out and balls out this weekend with your boy Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones. You got an elite running offense with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, behind a top 10 offensive line. If Deshaun Watson gets his career back on track against his former team.
I think part of the reason you're not seeing like an immediate boom on his stuff. I mean, if you look at the numbers there's definitely a change going up, but a lot of people that bought Deshaun Watson early in the year before the suspension got handed out.
Yep.
So there's
you see that spike.
Yeah, there's people that are already paid for some high end stuff, and they probably still got it at a price that's going to be lower than what it's going to be in maybe a couple months or even before the season next year, depending on how well he plays. So if he can get back to like the form he was in, with the Texans to finish his career with that team, could be dangerous. I mean, they have an elite running game. They have really young, good wide receivers. They have Amari Cooper, one of my favorites. He's just slick. He gets into the end zone all the time. He could be a guy to watch. I mean, controversy aside. But if you like guys that have off-field controversy, that's definitely a guy you want to collect.
Yeah, he's just fallen so far from grace. I mean, even from when the news was released. I mean, we're just looking at the chart, man, going back to March, April, 550 on the 10, and now at $300 in a buy it now of all transactions. People just looking to get out. I mean, there's just, I mean, the Patrick Mahomes at $4,400, even the Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, stuff like that. I mean, this guy's a quarterback that had a really elite resume up until the whole scandal and everything. So I'm curious to see what his auctions are actually ending for right now. I'd be really interested to see if they spike this weekend. I'm kind of on the fence just because of, just the whole.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I don't know if he's going to be a total dust ball, just like speaking from an athletic standpoint. If we just like rule out his off the field issues and just like look at it from a NFL performance standpoint, like obviously the Browns are pretty much done for in terms of their season. So I almost think like you're better off waiting and trying to like buy him. I don't know, maybe in a few weeks, but he could pick up some steam if he comes out guns blazing and starts winning games and playing well.
It wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world, right, if he comes out and is rusty, right? I mean, he had like what, a couple preseason appearances, and he just looked really bad. But I mean, the whole stadium was booing him. He was dealing with all that bad press and everything, and he hadn't played with the team yet, realistically. So, I mean, I think you'll see a little bit of an improved version of him. I don't know if he'll be the Deshaun Watson of old right away, but he's a guy. He's a guy to watch if you can find some deals on some more scarce stuff. And again, you talk about that 2017 set all the time. It's not overprinted, so anything you get is going to be a bit more scarce.
Yeah, and ultimately, I think pretty much everything you're looking at right now for him is undervalued still compared to where it could go. So if you want to get in, it's not like you really have to hunt for variants. It's more of just finding a good card like a Prism or an Optic Holo, like Derek mentioned.
Select Silver.
Select Silver is fine. I think all those are pretty fine. Like, I mean, look at his most popular cards in terms of what were the most sold over the past month. And his PSA 10 base Prism has 6 sales in the past month. All of them auction, but still, they were all getting bids at least ending like $30, $40. And there's his Select Silver. That's the Premier, I believe,
Ooh, look at that. That's a nice little arc there.
Yeah, it's a nice little arc. Just not only a 94 pop. This was back when Select was hobby only. So definitely a much lower print run on the card back then. Let me see if I go like trending up. If anything.
The nice thing about any card, realistically, or any player, if you're looking to dabble and, you're not trying to throw a large dollar amount at a guy that you could argue has volatility, right, because of his off-the-field antics. But get you a base optic, get you a couple base optics. You can definitely get them raw, or you can get, even 9s or 10s for probably a pretty reasonable dollar amount. And if he, in the next year or so, finds any degree of success, then you're going to be in a pretty good spot to move it if you want to, or unless you're just hanging on to it for, for personal collection value. But if you're looking for a guy to flip, we've seen what happens with quarterbacks when they start going off. So, I mean, essentially you're buying into a guy right now who's not playing. He's not yet playing.
And check it out. I mean, he's already popping this week. I mean, these are buy it nows from today, yesterday, 120, compared to last week, Thanksgiving, there was an auction that ended at 9:09 p.m. on his base Donruss PSA 10 for $62.55. You could have turned around and doubled your money on that card already. So, yeah, it's still not too late.
Being played, yeah.
I mean, the Houston
Savior. I love that heading.
Brown Savior. It's still not too late because the Texans defense is the worst. I mean, it is the worst. I mean, and it's not going to take a whole lot for Nick Chubb to get going in this game. And that's just going to make it even easier for Deshaun Watson to pick apart their soft zone defense, conservative Lovie Smith over there. They're 30th in yards allowed per pass. Just let Amari Cooper dude, he could run wild this week. Between him and DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones, love that dude as well. It could get a little crazy in terms of the hype that Deshaun Watson gets coming out of this game, just from a performance standpoint. And people forget about his off the field scandal, and it's not like there's people have done a lot worse. And I'm not trying to justify what he did by any stretch. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying this right here on live YouTube TV. So make sure you hit that like button. That we're just saying from a performance standpoint, definitely think that he could pick up a lot of hype.
Yeah, and he's got tons of speed on that offense, and he's got a cannon for an arm. So he may be the key to unlocking a lot of those guys.
Did I mention, Steve, the Jets are going to Minnesota to play the Vikings this week, baby? Mike White in his second start. Just talk about the Jets are going to Minnesota to play the Vikings this week in week 13. That's a big matchup, man. Both of these teams are an elite consideration now, between the Jets having the 8th best running defense, 6th in yards allowed per carry. They're 5th in passing defense, 6th in yards allowed per pass. And you know what I'm looking forward to seeing more than anything is Sauce Gardner against Justin Jefferson. Let's go. Let's go. I want to see that matchup.
Jefferson down. I'm saying. I think he still has a nice game. I could see some heated exchanges, but Jefferson, I think, will still have a respectable game. It's about to show the rookie.
The one thing that could hurt them is that Jets pressure rate. They're getting a crazy good pressure rate right now. The Jets are one of the elite blitzers in the NFL. And so, and Kirk Cousins, he's not like the most mobile guy. He's pretty much a pure pocket passer, Steve. So I'm very interested. That's what makes this such a dynamic matchup. And then on the other side, you got Mike White taking what the defense gives you. And Minnesota's defense is not really that great, especially their passing defense. They're 27th in yards allowed per pass. You got Mike White resurrecting Elijah Moore's career. Garrett Wilson going off as a rookie who's looked incredible, breaking ankles last week. That Vikings pass defense, 19th overall, 27th in yards allowed per pass. The run defense, they may be out without Michael Carter. They got Zadonovan Smith or some dude starting this week, plus Ty Johnson. And they're out James Robinson and Michael Carter. But, hey, they don't need much of a run offense in this game, because I think this game is going to be a lot of fireworks. This is one game I am going to be targeting heavily. I think it's also a game that you could target heavily in the card market this week, whether it's, hunting for variance on Justin Jefferson, buying Kirk Cousins. Maybe there's a Panini instant with him with the shirt off and the chains. That would be sweet. Or what about buying Elijah Moore, Steve? What about Elijah Moore in that offense as the 1B? I mean, Elijah Moore is a really, really freaking good separator. And I think Zach Wilson, I love to hear your comments in the chat, you Jets fans. Bob, if you're out there, let's hear it, brother. Was Zach Wilson the issue for Elijah Moore? Can Elijah Moore get back to form? Got a touchdown last week. I'd be interested to see if Elijah Moore can't have him a second breakout game with Mike White here. I'm excited to see it, man. I may buy me some more Elijah Moore.
It's interesting. Anytime there's a quarterback change, it's obvious that certain quarterbacks have the guy they prefer to throw the ball to. And you saw that even with the Steelers, you had, a changing of the guard at receiver, if you will, where Deontay Johnson was getting 12 plus targets a game. And now George Pickens is kind of taking that volume away. I mean, they're not throwing that much, first of all, but you went from Ben to Mitch, just focusing down Deontay to them not utilizing him that much. And you're seeing the same thing with the Jets here. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's that much of a skill gap between the receivers as much as it is just a matter of favoritism. And I think you saw that this past week.
The chat's going wild. Bob said Wilson or Jefferson, who gets more TD, and I'm pretty sure Corey from Late Sick said Zach Wilson's trash, and I'm pretty sure Bob is talking Garrett Wilson or Justin Jefferson. I would tend to think like the matchup on paper favors Garrett Wilson actually, but I mean it's hard to really cover Justin Jefferson. Like it's just like, can Kirk Cousins hold on to the ball long enough to make a pass? And Kirk Cousins is super scrappy and he's very accurate. I mean, he throws some of the most incredible passes like that. It's just some of these passes he throws to Justin Jefferson. I'm like, yeah, Justin Jefferson does a really good job of catching it and generating yards after the catch and position his body and taking down the contested catch. But man, these passes sometimes are just put in there perfectly from Kirk. And I'm still buying to Kirk because I look at the power rankings. I'm like, dude, the Vikings out of the NFC North literally have a 99% chance to win their division and a 99% chance to make the playoffs. They cannot screw this up. Like their schedule the rest of the way is super easy. Yeah, they have the Jets this week, but it's really easy after that. And I think that they're definitely headed for the playoffs. So like I'm all in on Kirk Cousins because I can easily go and say, well, Russell Wilson, who just totally crapped the bed this year with the Denver Broncos and Nathaniel Hackett, his Prism PSA 10 is down like 900% to like an average of $175. But Kirk Cousins is, let me share the screen. Kirk Cousins cards are almost just as popular as Russell Wilson's now, but with still a fraction of the price. Like still. So I see it as a playoff thing. Like if Kirk Cousins can win in the playoffs, just one game, we could see quite the rise in the Kirk Cousins values. And it's like a bet that I'm willing to make.
I mean, I'll say this. I mean, I think that there was definitely a couple people that said Wilson, in the chat, there was some people saying Wilson was going to, not do so well this year. But I don't think anyone could have predicted just how bad. It's just almost beyond making any sense at this point. But what you say is true. I think that you're going to kind of see that their numbers switch over time. And the way that the Vikings are playing, like if they can actually blitz instead of just sitting back and letting people throw on them, they can start being intimidating on both sides of the ball. We know that no one's stopping them on offense, but if they can start stopping people on defense, they'll get a lot more people believing in their Super Bowl run as a real deal.
Like 2012 National Treasures out of 49? 2012 National Treasures? This has got to be like the first year that Panini National Treasures was made. Seriously. I mean,
yeah. Well, because 12 was the first year Panini did football, right?
It is the first year Panini did Prism. And I'm pretty sure it was the first year that Panini started getting into the football, like the modern football card game. So I think this would make this a first year. And some of you guys in the chat know more about the card history. If Derek Richards out there, or Derek Richard, Derek's been in for a while, but Derek, I meant to say David Hunter. David Hunter knows more about the card history than all of us. Corey from Late Stick may know the answer to this. Some of the other guys, if you know the history of Panini going way back, I'd love to hear from you guys. If they're like a Michael Ham out in the chat, because I think this was the first year that National Treasure was made as well. So a card like that, man, just has so many bonuses to it that at that price point, it's just so undervalued. Like even the raw Prism, if you can find those, because literally his Prism PSA 10 has a population of 35. Like you're not seeing it on here because it has such a low population. There's this Prism Auto. Like you're not seeing it. I think I'd have to go probably trending up just because it's gone up a lot in price over the past month. but it's got like a population of only like 35 or something crazy low, Steve. There it is. That's a Prism base.
I'll forever find it odd that the rookie ticket auto for like 250 for his is still less than like Sam Ellinger's was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So the next Kirk Cousins PSA 10 base Prism that pops up on the market with a pop of only 33 is going to sell for probably over $200 or close to it. Especially if they beat the Jets this weekend. I mean, this is a monster mega matchup, man. Boom. The Bob is thinking the Cousins, Beckett. I'm sure it did, dude. Massive potential. Massive potential. So if you guys are out there, there's a total snipe. I mean, total snipe right here on this card. Look at that Kirk Cousins market. Seriously, take a look, because if you're looking at making a flip within the next 60 days, that is a really good spot to focus your attention based on the playoff. Now, on the other hand, you could say, well, the Jets have a 61% chance of making the playoffs. They could easily grab a wild card spot, but they've got to win games because they're in the division with the Bills and the Dolphins. So it's like they've got to win games, and their schedule is harder. There's no doubt. But with Mike White actually able to put up points, Mike White's going to start until he gets hurt. There's no way that Robert Saleh is pulling Mike White at this point.
Look at that spectrum.
So I'm looking at Mike White if there's any variance. This is where I'll talk about hunting variance, because he's coming off a game where he's hyped up. But how much is his market going to cool off here throughout the week as people focus on other storylines, whether it's other sports, whether it's holidays, whether it's, the Chiefs at the Bengals, whether it's the Bills at the Pats on Thursday Night Football, and Mike White doesn't get crazy spike values again until Sunday, and he puts up a good game against the Vikes. Maybe they win. I don't know, but this is an interesting bet you could make. There's solid like playoff possibilities here, man, and his prices haven't gone as crazy as they did last year because people don't want to get snake bit. They don't want to get burned twice. And people that bought into Mike White pretty heavy last year got burned after the second week. So I think if he goes out and balls out again this week, we could see quite a bit of increase in the value. Steve, what do you think?
I like that Obsidian two up. That's a beauty, and it's out of 25. That's the thing is, you're talking super volatility, but this one after this week's game, if he can do it 2 times, and he is playing against the defense of the weak secondary, so if he can do it again, there could be some staying power. Now, I don't know that over the long haul that these prices are sustainable, but if they end up making a playoff run, people in just sheer fanaticism will, overpay for his stuff. We've seen that already. So I'm not saying go buy any cracked ice autos, contenders, but if you see any decent deals, or if you're sitting on some Mike White, that this is the optimal time to get him out there.
I mean, hey, it could go either way. Think about this. What if the Jets win over the Vikings and the 49ers beat the Dolphins? All of a sudden, Jets are going to be in somewhat of a catbird seat, and people are going to be mad hype for Mike White. Mad hype. So I would look at Mike White. I would also be looking for Elijah Moore, because I think you could probably snipe him for like super low based on the availability. And I'd be looking for like some type of autograph card for sure. Like, yeah.
After they drafted Garrett Wilson last year, and you saw his usage immediately drop. I mean, his stuff was just dirt cheap after that. I mean, he's too good to just fade into obscurity already. So I think that, with a team that's going to chuck the ball, well, that's a beauty right there. Number one.
It's such a badass looking card, man. These Obsidians. Especially 2021. I thought they really nailed the design in the 2021 set. I thought that they really nailed the design. I love it, man.
I like how the autograph box is like green too on that one.
Yeah, and you got it sealed in the redemption case from Panini. That's tight, man. That's some juice right there.
But, the thing is, when you look at these players and these teams about investing in them, I know we always talk about flipping and stuff like that, but I would say this is a team that's all young. They're built to win, not just now, right? Almost all their best core players are pretty young, so Elijah Moore could be a good buy and hold.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So a couple more matchups. One that is very DFS friendly. We talked about the injury status of Travis Etienne, important to watch. But the Jags are going to Detroit to play the Lions, so I love attacking this game. I'd say maybe Trevor can string 2 games together here. Last week, this week, he does against Baltimore. And see if he can do it against the Lions, who have a bottom-ranked defense. And so I like this game to be very competitive. I think you can look at the Lions, who, Jameson Williams. Guys, do not forget about Jameson Williams coming his first NFL start, maybe this week or next week. When that notification comes out that he's starting, I expect we see a little bump, and then he could go out with his 4.3 speed and his little Alabama resume and put up some crazy highlights, can score from anywhere on the field. So that's an incredible combination when you now have Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, and Jameson Williams. So crazy good combination there behind an elite offensive line. Give Jared Goff time. He's pretty good. And then Trevor Lawrence ascending right now, maybe finishing his season off strong, just kind of setting himself up for next year. They get Calvin Ridley back. Carter mentioned that play. Don't forget, Calvin Ridley is going to be starting for the Jags in September of 2023. That's, an 8-month flip window, but Calvin Ridley right now, nice little stash for that. And then right now, it's the Trevor Lawrence and Zay Jones, Christian Kirk show this weekend. Maybe sprinkle some Evan Ingram in there at tight end, maybe, because he didn't really get there last week. Last week it was Zay Jones, so this week could be Christian Kirk or Evan Ingram. Maybe an occasional Marvin Jones touchdown. Like he's got a good ability to do that.
What's interesting is it's easy to just look at the high profile games every week and be like, hey, check this game out, but me, I like to dissect and take a step a little bit further. I mean, Jaguars and Lions both have the exact same record, and I think that they're both ascending teams, right? Like not a lot of people expected a lot out of this team this year. Although the Lions have showed exactly kind of what we were saying that they would definitely surprise a lot of people, and they definitely are. I think this is definitely, to me, one of the games to watch and to be excited about, because you're kind of seeing not necessarily teams that'll be in the playoffs this year, but maybe a preview of what's to come, for next season.
Lions are going to draft one of those top quarterbacks. Lions, the Texans, they're right there to draft Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. And it makes sense. You set yourself up with Jameson Williams, who went to Alabama. Now you come in, you get yourself Bryce Young, who was Jameson Williams' quarterback at Alabama. Now all of a sudden, you got the chemistry, shower narrative. You got that elite offensive line. You got some good weapons for this guy. It's a really good scenario to have a rookie quarterback with that type of college production and profile. I can see it happening. I can see the Detroit Lions figuring out a way. That's going to create a lot of hype for guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, if he's still there. He's only on a 1-year deal, so they may let him go because they've got now Jameson Williams healthy on a rookie deal. That's exciting, man. That's exciting for that team in general for 2023. So,
and honestly, I know that. I'm a little bit higher on Goff than most people, but he's been super efficient. He's actually first in touchdowns thrown at home, tied with Pat Mahomes with 20. So that's a huge number. I think that they're just a couple defensive players away from being legitimate threats They have no problem scoring points. So I'm not saying that they won't draft a QB. Maybe they will. Maybe they will and just won't roll them out right away. But I definitely think that they're just a few defensive players away from causing a lot of problems in our division here. And I saw Matt's comment in there too, man. Really happy for you. That's great.
Yeah, man. Congrats, Matt. That was an incredible flip. Love it. Love it. Hey, all right. So last mega matchup that I see on the slate this weekend. Well, two more. One I will just touch on at the end, but the other one on Sunday is the Chargers at the Raiders. Both teams an absolute must win for the playoffs. Gotta win out, honestly, in the AFC West. Chargers ahead of the Raiders in that division, but the Chargers at the Raiders, 50.5 over under, Steve. Chargers have one of the worst run defenses in the league, and Josh Jacobs is on an absolute tear right now. Who do you got in this game? Chargers at the Raiders.
I hate to say it, but I got the Chargers. And the thing that's interesting is it seems like neither of these defenses can stop anybody. But I think you're right. I think it will be a shootout. But the Raiders, they haven't had much finishing power, although they have kind of strung a few late comebacks together. But I think Chargers know that if they don't win this week, it's pretty much game over. More so than if the Raiders don't win this week. So I think as long as they have all their guys out there, I think the Chargers squeak out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Chargers find a way to squeak this one out. And then Monday Night Football, Saints at the Bucks. It's yeah, gotta mention it because the NFC South is a dumpster fire, and the Bucks are still somehow leading the division, and with less than a 500 record because all the other teams keep losing. You know, it's crazy. And so we do have to beat the Saints. They are coming to Tampa. I don't like this matchup at all. Tristan Wirfs is hurt, and that's not good, man, because we already lost Ali Marpet to retirement, Alex Kappa to the Bengals, Ryan Jensen to a torn ACL in preseason, and now we're going to lose our most elite offensive lineman to a pretty nasty ankle injury. Like, I mean, just I don't know. Like, if I was Tom Brady, like, I'm sure he's like just like sulking at. No, I'm sure he's not, but I can like imagine how like concerned he is right now about this final season slipping away from him. And Todd Bowles is just not a good head coach. Should never have been a head coach. He's a fine defensive coordinator, but this is a train wreck without Bruce Arians as a head coach, or just a better decision maker in clutch situations in terms of like from a coaching standpoint, from a head coach standpoint. So I'm not feeling good at all right now about the Bucks. Maybe we stumble into the playoffs, but I don't see how we progress unless it's just like literally all on Tom Brady, man. What do you got in that game?
At least it's looking like Wirfs should be back in 3 or 4 weeks. Now the real challenge is going to be, can you remain playoff contenders throughout that process? That's going to be the real challenge. And I'm not aware of the long-term situation with the rest of the line, but is anyone else looking like they could come back that's out for the year? Are they looking like they could come back for the playoffs if possible?
Maybe Ryan Jensen. Maybe I think there was speculation that he could be back available for the playoffs, but I think that's it.
I mean they got, what does it say? Hoping he can return late in the year, but the odds are his season is over. That was the last time they updated it in end of August. So
yeah, and the Saints have had our number.
Was another report. So
I'm not looking forward to, like, this Monday night game is not going to be fun for me to watch. I have a feeling
the Saints always manage to cause a lot of problems. You know this. That's the one team that causes a lot of problems for Tampa. And man, I'm scared to even put a declaration on this game, but tell you what, man, they've been able to grind it out with the run.
All right.
I'll give Tampa by 6. I got Tampa by 6.
Tampa by 6. Okay, I'll take it. All right, so we're gonna answer some questions now at this point in the live stream. Got a few more minutes. Cards and collectibles coming in hot at the end, man. So I hope if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button real quick and that like button while you're at it to let the YouTube algorithm know that we're doing a good job. And real quick, if you guys want to unlock the entire keys to the kingdom over at the Football Card Quest, including this web app you see right here that tracks all of the graded football card sales on eBay, you can get access to that by checking out the description in the link in the description below of the video. Patreon.com/footballcard also gets you into the Discord server, gets you in to our weekly articles, gets you into the backstage pass, gets you into the monthly giveaway. It's a lot of benefits there, man. For as little as $6 a month. There's different tiers, though. I do some other benefits as well in there. So check it out, guys. Cards and Collectible says, yeah, don't want to miss that. Don't want to miss that tip there. Cards and Collectibles says, what do you guys think about investing in 2020 optic football boxes? About $100, Steve, for a blaster box of 2020 optic. Which is a lot more than what the basketball one is, by the way. But I still think it's probably a good investment. What do you think?
I like it. Realistically, the ultimate challenge is going to be it's a great investment if you can restrain yourself from opening it or selling it prematurely. So, I mean, it seems like all these guys that are the hits, if you will, the main targets from the 2020 set, as long as they stay, at the peak of the hobby, which I don't see why they wouldn't. That's only going to continue to press the value of that up. So it's a great investment. It's just a matter of, are you able to hold it, probably for several years.
All right. Sonny DeCuse earlier in the live stream said, and he was talking about Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes to invest now. Steve, I think we got to go Jalen Hurts here just because the prices are so much better. And Mahomes is pretty doggone expensive, although it could be the right move just because he's the favorite for MVP. They're the favorite in the NFL right now, but the Eagles are right there behind him. And I think if Jalen Hurts gets a playoff win and they start making a run there in the NFC, they don't have to play the Chiefs until potentially the Super Bowl. So they could make quite a deep run in the NFC without having to play the Chiefs. So there's a lot of potential for Jalen Hurts to go up.
I agree. And, despite the successes that he's already had, there seems to be a segment of the hobby that's just still not willing to accept the fact that, he's become an elite quarterback. Regarding Mahomes, I mean, I think that he's definitely a safe investment. Is he a guy that you can afford to invest in, though? I mean, his base, Sage cards are like $70 or something ridiculous. I mean, if he's a guy you could afford to buy, yeah, I mean, he's a great long hold, his values may not fluctuate as much unless he hits, makes it back to the Super Bowl again, which very well could happen. I mean, he's proved that, he doesn't need the best receiver in football to be successful, although he does have the best receiver in football, and that's Travis Kelce. But I was talking about Tyreek Hill, the other best receiver in football. As long as Kelce's around to keep bailing him out with his duck throws, he's going to stay at the top of the hobby. So he could be around for a while.
Benefits. Late Stick says, do you rub feet? Well, you can see Steve's got the, looks like he's got the bed set up right there behind him for you to prop your feet up and give you a nice.
Only, yeah.
He's got the bottle of baby oil right next to it. I could see it there in the background, man.
It's one of the unspoken perks of the Patreon.
Orlando Earler's thoughts on Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's pretty much in clipboard holder territory. Maybe he stays somewhat relevant just by being in like Heisman commercials and other random commercials, or maybe he gets into like a movie. Like maybe he goes into a somewhat of an acting career and that's the way he stays relevant. But I don't really see his football career going much further here, Steve.
Yeah, he was a healthy scratch this week with mighty Samson Darnold back at the helm, and PJ Walker is his backup. So, does he get another chance somewhere else? Not seeming too likely, but again, we're talking about PJ Walker started games this year, so anything is possible.
Jamie, what's good, man? Love the content. Appreciate that positive feedback. He said, "What's your thoughts on collecting 2000s to 2010s players? Find myself collecting these players." This one's right up your alley, Steve, because I know you love this generation or this decade of collecting. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it, man. That's kind of like the middle arc of when I was collecting, when I really got into football. It's around the time of Urlacher and Manning and Frank Gore, and there's so many great players that right now a lot of people are hyper focused on ultra modern stuff, and how scarce some of those cards are is actually unbelievable. You look at stuff like the optic hollows and all that, and they're kind of like one per pack now. And you look at like a Topps Finest refractor from back then, and that's like a really rare card. So like a base rookie is really hard to come by for guys from that era. So Exquisite is a good example. Andy's got that pulled up. Exquisite is, like, as far as I know, all game used patches, like something that's unheard of in the modern ultra modern hobby anyway.
Yeah, man. I love Exquisite. I want to get more Exquisite in my collection.
Oh, Moose and Muhammad. Holy cow, man.
Musa Muhammad, and what Steve mentioned is almost all these patches are game worn, and so you go to the back, and let's see, it's a lot of multi. You ever received a Musa Muhammad game used trading card? On the front of this card is a piece of memorabilia that has been certified to it's hard to read because it's kind of blurry, as having been
NFL game.
Yeah, has been used in an official NFL game. And so it's pretty sweet, man, when you get game. And some of the Upper Deck Exquisite patches, and you can just get them so cheap. Like, you can't get game used jerseys from the 2000s anymore. And so it's just find it very rare. And even on guys that aren't like Hall of Famers and stuff, you probably remember them, whether it's from your fantasy league or just being fans of them. I think it's a great set to look at targeting for any of your favorite players.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many guys from that era that even modern collectors would know. Antonio Gates, like one of the best tight ends of all time, Hall of Famer for sure. Tomlinson, guys like Vince Young have a special place in the hobby too. He was, never quite made it to that upper echelon, but he was like the early mark of like rushing quarterbacks. The Reggie Bushes, were big at the time. He's another guy that had outstanding potential and didn't just have the durability to make it as a featured tailback in the league. Like, if he played in the league now, he'd probably get like 10 touches a game and probably have a long, healthy career. But he just wasn't built for 25 touches. Chad Johnson. You gotta love Chad Johnson. I'm still telling you, Andy, one of these days I'm gonna get a Urlacher rookie ticket auto. I've been eyeing him.
Oh man, that'll be a grail card for you when you get it. You got to put it up on the wall.
It's gonna go on the Bears wall, and it ain't moving.
Treylon Burks is on the up and up. Steve had a great game before the week pass. He made the hustle up play, recovered the touchdown from the Derrick Henry strip and towards the beginning on Sunday. And Treylon Burks starting to go up a little bit, but I think he's got a lot more room to go up. First, like, it's a run-heavy, run-first team, but they're clear leaders in the AFC South. They're definitely going to the playoffs. High probability of both winning their division and going to the playoffs. And this is about the time when you see guys, rookies, coming into form. And Treylon Burks, I think, is a perfect example of this as a guy they start leaning on more and more heavily moving into the playoffs. combined with his athletic profile, first-round draft capital, he's so dominant at Arkansas. I think this makes for a great rookie investment to flip here in the coming weeks. I mean, as soon as after this weekend, as soon as the playoffs, I think there's a ton of potential. And shout out to our guy Jerry in the Discord in the Patreon. He sent me a message earlier today telling me that he bought a Treylon Burks because Treylon Burks is actually one of the guys I featured in our Auction Sniper article that comes out every Friday. I featured him 2 weeks ago, actually. So sometimes I just get really lucky. I put a lot of thought and effort into those articles that I write over there. And I do a deep dive on the player and then present a bunch of auctions around like to target. And I was targeting some collegiate flawless, some collegiate national treasures, collegiate immaculate. And he flipped one. He got it for 40 from my article, flipped it for 140 this past weekend. So that was really... Yeah, man. And I still think there's a lot of potential there with Burks.
With fantasy football, with real football, with just about anything, timing is 99% of it. And, the Titans are in first and the playoffs are coming up. And Burks is just starting to get the looks. He's just starting to get the targets. And if you watched the game, the touchdown that he got wasn't actually a receiving touchdown, but it was a heads-up play. And at the end of the day, it counts on the stat sheet. A ball came loose because King Henry was being a little lax running into the end zone, and it rolled into the end zone, and he dove on top of it. So, but I mean, that's the kind of heads-up you want from a guy. You want him to have a nose for the ball, nose for the end zone, and he's in a good spot. Not too many rookies are playoff bound this year. Not too many key ones anyway.
Yeah, he's in a really good spot and he's ascending. It's kind of like that right time to get into his market. And there's a few cards you could look at: Score, Origins, Certified, some of the draft pick stuff. And this is an interesting thing that Carter explained to me is, look, there is no other professional sports team in Arkansas other than the University of Arkansas and the Razorbacks. So his college product is going to be very popular because as this guy ascends, he doesn't play too far from home. And, Arkansas is going to want to collect the best player that's come out of, like, any fan of Treylon Burks. Like, he's the best player to come out of Arkansas for God knows how long. So I think that, his stuff in his college uniform will go quite a long ways. And like something like this, I think is perfectly fine to invest in because it does have an on-card autograph here, on-card rookie autograph, and you got that Arkansas team name right there on the front. We know it's a rookie draft picks card, and I kind of like this card. Numbered out of 29 as well, so you got a really rare serial number to this. I think I would pay, I don't know, 0 bids on it now. I'd love to get this card like right at $50. Honestly, $50 is not bad on this card.
Yeah, you could make the argument that in a buy it now you could see 100, 110. I don't see why not.
Yeah, or something like this, the Origins out of 99. It's a card you're going to flip raw because it's got corner and edge issues typically out of the box on most of them. Just because the white cardstock, like you see that ding on that bottom right corner there. It's just unfortunate, but it's a really nice card, and the double zeros don't turn me off at all. I think this card's got a lot of juice. It's got the rookie art shield. It's got on-card rookie autograph, serial number. Like, I'm still all about it. I think this is a great card from an investment standpoint. Origins is popular. And most of their cards are serial numbered, hobby only. I think if you can get this card, it's got 8 bids on it already. Tomorrow, Thursday night. I don't want to pay more than like $50 for this card, but being that he is a rookie, Steve, I'm willing to pay a little bit more than the same card for a 2020 or 2021 athlete, just because, his prism, his optic, his select, even his base donors aren't going to come out till the season is over next year. So I know that cards like these are still going to be very popular over the next month or two.
And again, Tennessee's in first. That gives a little gas on the fire.
Yeah.
For a couple weeks down the road from now, if if they're looking like they're going to finish in first and definitely make the playoffs, I mean, that just puts that many more eyes on them.
Gold Sharpie, Steve. Pen Pals, Gold Sharpie, Friday morning, 7:25 a.m.
Pen Pals, man. It's one of my favorites. On-card autos. It's typically one of the first pro uniform autos that you get.
Hey, there's Jerry. I think it's Jerry got over 10 offers on all 3 of my Immaculate Burks. Nice. Let's go. Let's go, brother.
Lightstick was asking about the sheets earlier. Not silk, but something similar. What is it, satin or something?
Those silk sheets? He wants to know about your sheets. He said they look soft.
Let's see. What we got? Darren McFadden. Are we talking about the that era again?
All right. So Jippo, I think this is Jerry. He said, "How do you value a player who moves teams semi-often? For example, Amari Cooper." Yeah, that's an interesting one because rookie cards are Raiders. Then he went to the Cowboys. Now the Browns. May have been another team in there. I'm like missing, but yeah, I mean, so it makes his veteran cards relevant because people want to collect the players depicted in their current team uniforms. So, Panini Instant, that's kind of where they kind of fit in with some of those super relevant recent pictures on cards and stuff. But, it does affect, like, for example, Leonard Fournette, when he moved from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Bucs, it's such a polarizing uniform difference and everything that makes a big impact. It's not as big of a difference from the Raiders to the Cowboys, but to the Browns now, there is a pretty big difference. I think ultimately you just got to stick with the rookie product, Steve. And I think that the values may be affected slightly negatively, like slightly lower than a guy who hasn't changed teams, just because like you look at a guy like Travis Kelce or Keenan Allen, who are lifers on their team, or even Mike Evans, who's a lifer on his team. And, I do see that those rookie cards hold a little bit higher value because you just don't go to the veteran cards as often when the guy's still on the same team his entire career. You could just go to the rookie product and you get kind of like the double whammy. Whereas Amari Cooper, this kind of breathes extra life into his cards and Browns uniform, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think we covered it a little bit last week too. I think that it does maybe take a little bit off of them, but if you get some incredible quarterback play and you start, I mean, he's already really high up in all the receiver rankings and he's 3rd or 4th in overall touchdowns scored. So, I mean, if you can get him bolstered up and have a couple highlight reels with Deshaun Watson, I think you're really going to get him back to where he was before.
What about Burke's XRCs? Because XRCs still are, I mean, they're just really rare. Like, so a lot of the XRCs have made their way out through the market. They came out as part of the 2021 Select Hobby Box release that was at the beginning of the season. So, and they have a print run of 150 or less. So yeah, I just know from experience that 100 to 150 is going to be on the higher end. You want to try and get these around 50. I'm not opposed to getting a 9. They have a low gem rate. I can tell you from experience, currently dealing with a dispute from a buyer that's found surface dimples on my Brees Hall that I sold him. Ridiculous, but still no resolution there. Yeah, if you can get it anywhere under, I would say about $60, I still think it's a deal. Let's look at where they've been selling. 39. Oh yeah, dude.
Man,
that's a freaking great deal. 39, 36. Go have at it, basic. Wholesale cards, have at it. It's a great deal.
No, those are 28. Oh man.
Yeah, steal.
We've
Snipe,
been asleep, Andy. We missed the passing train on a couple of those. I approve.
All right.
Ooh, Chase Young PSA 10 for 61.
Taking good pictures. This is a very easy tip. Go to Amazon, type in portable light bulb, get you a portable light bulb like this. And what you do is you don't hold it directly over a card. You see, when you hold directly in front of a card, it creates a massive reflection. What you got to do is hold it on top of the card so where the light shines off of it and reflect. So like this. So see, if I hold the light too much in front of it, it creates a massive reflection. But if I hold the light off to the side, like somewhere right around there, it's perfect illumination. So type in portable light bulb and get you one of these. They're rechargeable, or you can get a photo box for like an extra $20, and all of a sudden, you can accomplish that in one ways. And then you type in a card stand. Type in a card stand, and you'll find these little clear plastic card stands that the card sits at like a 45-degree angle, because you want that card to be able to just like sit at a little angle. This is just something for my phone, but yeah, that's the easiest way, and you'll take perfect pictures every time.
Angle to the light is ultimately, I 100% agree. I was taking them without a photo box before, and just practice makes perfect, and you can get some really good pictures. Photo box really makes it a lot easier. You can position the card stand anywhere, like he said, not directly under the light, but just behind it, so you can get the right refraction on the card. And some of the photo boxes, like the one I got, actually come with different background colors.
Oh,
if you're like a little perfectionist and you got the time, you can put like a purple one in back for like Ravens or Vikings, or orange for Bears, or blue for Bears. So it makes a difference. I tinkered around with it a little bit, and it definitely makes a difference.
It makes a difference. Sports cards, we'll leave you guys with this. Sports cards are all about the details, man, and it's all about the aesthetics. So good pictures are incredibly important. That's literally like 75-80% of the solution selling cards and making sure they sell. With that, Steve, we're just over 2 hours. We're out of here. That's the show.
And let's see some good football this week, and maybe we can get a sheet together before Sunday. Andy, let me know if you're up for it. But I did pretty good. I missed one leg on my 5-legger with the free booster in there. I missed one.
So close, man. So close. Yes, we will try again this week. We're out of here, y'all. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you smash that like button, share with a friend. See you in the Discord server. I'll see you in the next video. I'll be putting out another video by Friday, and we'll see you there, man. Peace.
Good night. Peace, everyone.